AWS Reinforce 2025. We're still here in Philadelphia on the expo floor talking about security topics, and I am thrilled, riveted, bone-chilling. I got goosebumps right now because of these awesome individuals that we have brought up. And now that I've just gassed them up, don't disappoint us, please.
Okay.
I'm your host, Kyle.
A lot of pressure.
I got AM.
Hi, I'm AM. I'm a developer advocate.
And we also have with us Stephen and Tom. Please tell the audience, the world, who you are, what you do, and
the world's out there.
Yeah, the world's out there.
World's right in that
Should I
lens.
address the world out here?
Yeah,
okay,
right there.
that's what I'm going to do. Hey, I'm Stephen Goodman. I'm a senior manager within AWS Operational Security. I really work on analytics and detecting bad actors trying to do naughty stuff against customer workloads.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Tom Schroll. I'm a Vice President Distinguished Engineer. I work in our infrastructure organization where I deal with our global network backbone, as well as things like DDoS defense and some of our threat detection related infrastructure.
Yeah.
Now,
was that high enough energy? It was probably pretty medium.
Right on the mark. But we can always bring it up if we need to. But no,
Okay.
this is great because we have two individuals that represent the teams that not a lot of people are aware that AWS has and how we're protecting customers. But now, like at Reinforce, we're hearing the terms like, active defense and MadPot and just other teams that help customers protect themselves.
Yep.
And, this is that opportunity to where, we get to pepper you with questions. And really, it's just, believe it or not, we are human at AWS. We're not machines. And
Speak for yourself,
yeah,
buddy.
it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Some of us are machines.
Well, okay.
Gee.
AM, is that the model type of machine that you are?
I don't want to disclose that publicly, but yes.
So one thing when we've been chatting for the last couple of weeks, you've been at AWS collectively for about 20-ish years. My math.
Mostly in Tom's space.
I think about 14
if
for
you
me.
add it up,
And
it's
so-
there's a little balance there.
So there's a lot of transformation that happens over the years. And I even just think about the last year on how security on AWS has changed. I want to hear what has been the most rewarding and passionate project or passionate thing that you like to talk about over the years that you've been at AWS.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You want to go first? I can go first?
We'll do it like down the line.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
get down the table.
Let's go down the line.
Wow, man, that's such a in-depth question. To me, it's honestly the journey of stacking up the amount of different capabilities that we have for protecting against a really wide variety of threat behavior. It's super meaningful. I remember in November of 2021, we had been working to get really our threat intelligence integrated with the network stuff that Tom does, and it was a long, difficult engineering journey to make sense of all this data that we were getting and get it plumbed in to a spot where we could actually protect customers actively, invisibly. Nobody has to do anything. It just happens in the back end behind the scenes. And we went live, and it was just seeing the grass going whoop, look at all this stuff that we're blocking. It was just the culmination of so much focus and dedication from some really talented people in the organization, Tom being our huge advocate. That was definitely something that we've just kept going from there, following that graph.
Stephen, you had me at nobody has to do anything and they're protected. That speaks directly
exactly.
to me.
Right.
Thank
That's
you.
a good benefit.
Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, certainly some portion of what kind of Stephen talked to. I remember when we were working on that together, it was well, I've got the network, you've got the information, we can get together and we can make this happen and accelerate what we needed to do. So that was pretty cool. I'd say for me, probably in the last 5 or 6 years was really, given I've traditionally worked on our network infrastructure, building up our backbone, the network that connects all of our data centers and edge pops together, probably around 2019, 2020, I started to dive a little bit more into the DDoS space. And it was something where, you always had to kind of deal with it from a networking perspective, right? You see the traffic going around, but actually saying I want to actually immerse myself in the world and understand how it actually operates, and actually what can we leverage? And we'll talk about this in our presentation about using MadPot and some of our capabilities to say, yeah, we can actually take the data that we've collected to actually protect our customers behind the scenes, but actually we can go even further and actually try to stop some of the stuff from existing on the internet. And I think some of the areas that we've advanced in and what we have visibility into is something really unique that we do to protect not only our customers but the internet as a whole. And I think we've moved the needle there, and that's been a pretty cool journey.
I mean, you're throwing around the terms like we do our networking from our data centers like it was an easy task. This is a global infrastructure. This is massive.
Yeah.
Like, how large is this?
Yeah. I mean, oh boy, I can't remember the number. It pops off my top of my head. But I mean, I remember, starting in the early 2010s it was like, let's connect our regions together. We have a lot of edge pops for our CDNs, such as CloudFront Route 53, Global Accelerator, that live at the edge, and basically bringing that all together, and then building a backbone that meets the resiliency and availability targets of just how much, when you go over subsea cables, right? Like how many individual paths you need to have, because when a subsea cable could be impacted, it could be months that it's out of service. So you need to be able to have enough capacity to be able to address that. And then domestic terrestrial planning, there's a lot of work that goes into that. But then on top of that, you have to actually connect to the rest of the world, which is the internet. And so different parts of the world, you have to get the right setups from a pairing perspective, different internet exchanges. So, you scale up over time. And it's a lot of work involved to do that, provide that kind of world-class customer experience. So
Can I throw a question out?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
Oh, I wanted to,
Please,
I often tell people in my org and like the broader security function, like, this is the biggest civil engineering project that has ever existed in the world. Like, that's to the direct thing of how big is this? That's what the AWS infrastructure backbone is. I mean, we're here in the convention center, so online you can't really see this. We're in a huge room.
Yeah.
Huge, you can fit aircrafts in here, right? And it's like we're running lots of these around the world, filled with specialized electronics, specialized networking, specialized monitoring. They're all connected. They're going at 100 gigabit comms. And it's
400,
400, right? And Tom's just like, oh yeah, here it works, right? The amount of energy that's gone into make this massive infrastructure be like, oh yeah, we can just talk about it like it's one thing. I mean, it's incredible. It's honestly, it's like a layer around the world.
It's like, so what you do here, Upwell built AWS's network.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it's like, but watch out for those freighters carrying stuff on the ocean. That might be a problem. Yeah,
the fiber sharks.
So I'm sitting up here. I'm not a security expert.
We know. I definitely know.
Your hat says keep it weird, though.
It does. I fit in. I blend in, maybe. But so I've learned a lot about security. But in my time in tech, at least, I feel like there has always kind of been this divide between I'm a security person or I'm, a software engineer. I'm a developer. Yeah. And that, as over time in the industry, I've seen that divide close, right? And we're getting closer and closer. But still, I don't think we're at that point where I think everybody talks about this DevSecOps movement or shifting left. So I always love to ask people, right, especially from a deep security background, from my perspective.
Yeah.
I see something like coding assistants and things bringing more security people over into the coding. I've seen this with Kyle, actually, specifically, being more of a developer through that avenue. But what about the security side? How do we get more developers engaged in security?
Yeah. This is one where, my background is software engineering.
Right.
I was a software engineer for 20 years. And sort of the last half of that was more and more security focused. And I had the, dubious benefit of configuring systems, writing software that got owned, and it's like, oh crap, now I'm on how did this happen? What happened? Why are these things beaconing out to other countries? And I can't use this anymore. So that firsthand experience, that's kind of irreplaceable for, this is something that's matters, right? You can't have reliability and availability without security, right? You can't. And so I very much approach security from a software engineering perspective of it. There's a domain, there's a problem space, and bring the engineering perspective to solve it. And I think once people start engaging that way, it's really easy as a software engineer to be like, this is something I can solve and I can code against. So I think a lot of it is just exposure and looking at it as a key part of availability and not like as a side quest of, oh, somebody told me I have to, configure encryption or, turn off this, this particular thing. So that's my perspective is it's just see it is one and the same thing.
Yeah. For me, moving it closer to the development time, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I don't have to run all the security checks, in the CI/CD pipeline, if I can do it locally while I'm coding, like that helps me, right?
Totally.
Like, and it helps me from being embarrassed when I check in secure code because I don't have to check it in because I found out as I was building it, things like that. I think for me too, like when I first started getting into security, there's so much terminology. You learn about CVEs, you learn wider, all these like things,
all the acronyms,
these subculture, right? Like within tech, I think it's really important to bring developers into those conversations, explain those topics, why they matter. But I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, my upbringing is a little different because I came from the network engineering side. So it's a little, you look at it through a different lens, right? So it's kind of like, hey, how do you think about networking? How do you think about protecting network infrastructure? And that's still very important, right? And like there's different layers within network infrastructure. How do you protect the routers themselves? How do you protect like which particular address ranges people can talk to and not talk to? So it kind of comes from a different angle, but a lot of it, over time collapses together because you do, you have to think about how systems work. How do you actually support this infrastructure? And then how do you kind of help each other? What's it mean for telemetry perspective? Like what kind of data can be admitted that you can use that can actually visualize and figure out what's going on? So they do eventually kind of come together. But I mean, I think the one main thing like is a lot that's really I think is important is kind of that learn and be curious, right? Like being able to feel comfortable, kind of look outside your domain and kind of learn and you know from the security side, like what do I need for my role that I can pick up here that I can use and apply, and like what are the right patterns? I think is really important. So.
Communication and bringing each other into our difference because same for security people who don't necessarily have a coding background, right? Like there's stuff that developers can teach.
Yeah,
on that side.
I will joke around till I'm blue in the face, but AM teaches me a lot when it comes to the development side of things.
Oh,
that's
like what not to do.
That was on air.
That's public.
That was
recorded.
That was put on the internet.
Video on demand.
Today I learned.
Yeah, today I learned. And I wish we had more time. And one thing I would love to hear from you too is
that went fast.
Just real quick, if you could have told your past self something that would have helped you learn along your journey easier or better, what would it be?
Oh man, I'm gonna give a shout out to Becky Weiss, who's one of our Amazon Distinguished Engineers. The power of yet. And this is like junior high level wisdom or maybe even like elementary school level wisdom. It's just like anything that you can't do yet. Yeah, just add that onto your thinking, right? For me, that would have been super powerful when I was younger, like going through engineering. It's complicated. Things are hard. It doesn't always come intuitively. And it's like, I don't get it yet.
Love that.
Right? And just that idea, like, use that for anything, right? Like Amazon doesn't have the thing I want. Yeah.
Tom,
right? Like it works for everything.
Yeah, Tom, how about yourself?
Oh, that's he had a good one. I don't think I have anything that's cool like that on the spot. I mean, I think if I would go back in time, it would just be more of a reaching out, empathizing with other teams, and kind of understanding their space and kind of how things got to a particular place, and trying to learn from that, and try to understand how do you make things better. That's the only thing I could kind of think about.
Well, I wish we had more time because I've been looking forward to this segment for weeks now. And I'm glad we got to spend some time for us. And thank you for spending time.
Thank you.
I mean, at least entertaining AM, but us security folks stick together. I'm kidding. But hey, stick around because we're still here at AWS Reinforce in Philadelphia. See you in a minute.